English translation. 174th contact. Friday, 20th August 1982, 16:37 hours.
Due to last Sunday's incident, I was absent until today, which is why I can only come today. I very well assessed, through my apparatus that is linked to the monitoring equipment, what happened so late at the night in the center. But I only became aware of this through the alarm, which was triggered by the monitoring equipment. But before I explain things to you, I would like to hear from you what findings you have made.
As you wish. At around 22:08 hours, I went into my office, together with Ingrid, with whom I had a few things to discuss. A few minutes after entering the office, a strong searchlight suddenly glistened through the window curtain. Very strongly, as if it was from a halogen lamp. 2 or 3 seconds after that, I tore open the window in order to see who wanted to disturb us. But nobody was outside, which is why I left the office in a hurry and ran around the house to find the troublemaker. But there was no one to be found, which is why I then checked in the house and asked people whether any of them had been at the office window. But they all just sat in front of the television in suspense, watching a lousy show. So I then went back into the office to talk about it with Ingrid. But after a few minutes, a strong searchlight flashed through the curtain again, so I quickly tore open the window again and jumped through it to the outside. This certainly lasted no longer than a second, for I was on the ball and waited for another possible same or similar incident. But despite my speed, nobody was in sight outside. This was strange because a second was far too short a time that someone could simply vanish in front of the office in that short amount of time. If anyone had shown at the office with a lamp through the curtain of the window, then at least 2 to 3 seconds of time would have been necessary in order to run along the house wall and disappear. So the whole thing seemed odd to me, which is why I searched half of the terrain of the center and, on another occasion, questioned the group members in the house, who still sat in front of the boob tube. So again, nothing. So this went on for 2 more times, while it had become 23:11 hours in the meantime. And since these disturbances came to no end, sitting right next to the window, I now waited for another incident, which also actually appeared. While the light was flashing, I tore open the window, but nothing and no one could be seen outside around the entire house. But then, Ingrid announced herself behind my back, who said excitedly, "Look, Billy, that is just like last night." So I just looked straight ahead, over the fence and into the void, where I logically would not have looked, for who could stand there outside and also be able to shine a lamp into the office? But then, I saw it. And it was not a person with a lamp, but rather a huge mass of ionized air that looked like a luminous fog in the light of the yard lamp. But peculiarly, there were strange movements that flowed from this ionization thing, out of which an enormous hand then emerged, which moved towards the fence and appeared as if it was searching for and reaching for something. But oddly enough, it avoided the direct light of the yard lamp towards the side and towards the top, and at the same time, I realized that I was met with evil swinging waves, which evoked that state in me that arises each time when I come within the range of fanatical sectarians, or when I enter sectarian places, or as it was when I stayed with Margaret Flammer and Olga Walder for about 2.5 hours in the monastery of Einsiedeln, after which my vital functions slowly expired, and I became cheese green in my whole body, and had to be removed from the monastery by Olga and Margaret. For if the tremendous religious and sectarian forces in the convent had accumulated in me, then I would have otherwise been killed, because religions and sects develop these negative and destructive killing powers by the erroneous faith of the believers, who then attack and kill all those who only live for the truth, and who fight against the false doctrines of the religions and sects. And with this last incident in the office, when Ingrid made her remark, she referred to the fact that she had been sitting with me the night before on the sofa in front of the barn, when on the upper path in the rabbit enclosure, possibly someone from your Federation materialized, who for 15 seconds was a bright green and was surrounded by a corona of blinding white light, from which a radiant red figure emerged, while all the air around ionized, and then there arose a strong smell of sulfur. This was about an hour after I had observed two other materializations, but which appeared red in color, near the shed during Ferdinand's night watch. But these were not seen by Ferdinand, even though he sat on the bank beneath the pulpit and actually should have seen these things. In all other respects, the whole process of the ionization of air seemed to me such that these forces cannot simply arise out of the air. But beneath the ground slope behind the trees, there probably must have been some ship from which these forces were sent up to us. This impression was reinforced in me even more after I ran out, having recognized the structure from the window, left the office, and wanted to rush